रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथया मुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना। भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वय भट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसार कुलशेखर योगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणु परकाल यतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्य कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि। प्रतिभट श्रेणी भीषण वरगुण स्तोम भूषण जनि भयस्थान तारण जगदवस्थान कारण निखिल दुष्कर्म कर्षण निगम सद्धर्म दर्शन जय जय श्री सुदर्शन जय जय श्री सुदर्शन। प्रतिभट श्रेणी भीषण वरगुण स्तोम भूषण जनि भयस्थान तारण जगदवस्थान कारण निखिल दुष्कर्म कर्षण निगम सद्धर्म दर्शन जय जय श्री सुदर्शन जय जय श्री सुदर्शन। शुभ जगत रूप मंडन सुरगण त्रास खंडन शतमख ब्रह्म वंदित शतपथ ब्रह्म नंदित प्रथित विद्वत्स पक्षित भजत हि बुद्ध लक्षित जय जय श्री सुदर्शन जय जय श्री सुदर्शन। स्फुटत टिच्चाल पिंजर पृथुतर ज्वाल पंजर परिगत प्रत्न विग्रह पटुतर प्रज्ञ दुर्ग्रह प्रहरण ग्राम मंडित परिजन प्राण पंडित जय जय श्री सुदर्शन जय जय श्री सुदर्शन। निज पद प्रीत सद्गण निरुपदि स्फीत षड्गुण निगम निर्व्यूढ वैभव निज पर दूह वैभव हरिहय द्वेषि दारण हरपुर प्रोष कारण जय जय श्री सुदर्शन जय जय श्री सुदर्शन। धनुज विस्तार कर्तन जनित मिस्त्रा विकर्तन धनुज विद्या निकर्तन भजद विद्या निवर्तन अमर दृष्ट स्विक्रम समर जुष्ट भ्रमिक्रम जय जय श्री सुदर्शन जय जय श्री सुदर्शन। प्रतिमुख लीड बंधुर पृथु महाहेति दंतुर विकट माया बहिष्कृत विविध माला परिष्कृत स्थिर महायंत्र तंत्रित दृढ़ दया तंत्र यंत्रित जय जय श्री सुदर्शन जय जय श्री सुदर्शन। महित संपत्सदक्षर विहित संपत् षडक्षर षडर चक्र प्रतिष्ठित सकल तत्व प्रतिष्ठित विविध संकल्प कल्पक विबुध संकल्प कल्पक जय जय श्री सुदर्शन जय जय श्री सुदर्शन। भुवन नेत्रस्त्रयीमय सवन तेजस्त्रयीमय निरवधि स्वादु चिन्मय निखिल शक्ति जगन्मय अमित विश्वक्रियामय शमित विश्व भयामय जय जय श्री सुदर्शन जय जय श्री सुदर्शन। A very good evening to all the astikas who have gathered for this evening lecture organized by a foundation that aims to serve different classes of the society and for the goodwill and for the grace, the benign grace that they have bestowed upon me to be delivering this lecture, where many scholars of great repute have spoken on the same banner for the years that were preceding. The topic chosen for the day is on Sudarshana. So, to give it a very thrilling and a very energetic start, I didn't have to burn the midnight oil because our Purvacharyas have done such commendable work and we have just bequeathed the beauty of such works. So the topic is Sudarshana. What does Sudarshana mean? The lecture at times will be a two-way process. So it won't be a monologue like the friends, Romans and countrymen. I think I need a slightly higher volume. Like the friends, Romans and countrymen, I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is off, interred with their bones, so let it be with Caesar. That's a monologue. So this is a question. What does Sudarshana mean?
Good view.
Good?
View.
Darshana. View. Darshana samanakaram in Shastram also means one who is of great form. So Sudarshana means one who is very handsome. But the beauty is, when we see Sudarshana from the point of view of our Itihasas and the Puranas, we see him just as a weapon. So instead of using even the word him, it is often said it. So it is often treated as an insentient object, as a jadavastu, as an achetana. But our Agama Shastram doesn't treat Sudarshana that way. It treats him as an Ayudha Purusha. So that said, Ayudha Purusha, where do we see? In one of the temples called the Devgad, built before the 5th century AD in the north of India, just below the panel that depicts Ananta Shayana, you will see 5 men and 1 woman. Who could that be? 5 men and 1 woman. Pancha Pandavas, sir. You don't know that also. I don't know why Sai Grace Foundation has called you. Pancha Pandavas and a lady. But our Agama Shilpa Shastra Jnanis have interpreted them to be Ayudha Purushas. So one person will be holding his hand like this in that panel, which means I'm always ready to serve you, which is Sudarshana. There is another person who holds a panel like this, saying, I am always held here, and the Sharanga, the bow. The other one has the sword with the scabbard. He is the Khadgam called Nandakam. Then there is a woman there. Who could that be? That is the mace called Gada, because in Sanskritam, Gada is Strilingam. It is not Pullingam. So that lady is Gada and the remaining are Ayudha Purushas. So there is an art of deciphering, appreciating and internalizing even our architecture. That said, where do we see the importance of Sudarshana? Let me take you to times. This incident happened in Karnataka. During the times of the Ramayana, Kishkinda Kandam occurred in Karnataka. Karneshu Atati. That's why it's called Karnata. Ka is a suffix. Karneshu Atati. That place or that region which is filled with kings of such prowess and valor who fight battles only to win, their victory messages go to the ears of Mahalakshmi, who is adorned with beautiful earrings in her ears, and as she hears the message of victory, she nods her head. As she nods, it is called Karneshu Atati. That's why it's called Karnata. And Ka is a suffix. So Karnataka. But we get absolutely pissed off when some of the reporters in the news channels say Karnatak. Then we should be saying Haryan. Right? Now, that said, in the Ramayana, we see that Rama and Lakshmana, the duo, who spent a major part of their exile along with Sita in the forests of Madhya Pradesh. Later they moved towards the bank of river Godavari. There we have Maharashtra coming into picture, and it is largely believed that the place was Nashik. And after Kharadushana Yuddham and after Sita was abducted, Rama and Lakshmana come southwards because all indications tell them that she must have gone southwards. So there Rama gives salvation, moksham to Jatayu. Mrigamadalama shubha nitilavara Jatayu moksha ಫಲದ ಪವಮಾನ ವೀರಸುತುಡು ಕನಕನ ರುಚಿರ Vara moksha vara Jatayu. After giving moksham to Jatayu, Rama and Lakshmana come and accept the hospitality, Atithyam, hospitality of Shabari. She gives fruits and they consume. Then she goes into the blazing fire because it is believed by many scholars, when she walked into the fires, she was a part of the Shramana movement, because Valmiki calls her Shramani. Shramana had 3 classes of people. It had Ajivikas, Jainas and Bauddhas. Some sects believed that to attain moksham you will have to go into fire. So she was a Shramani. The commentator Govindaraja says she lived like a sannyasini. Then after giving moksham to Jatayu, staying as a witness to Shabari moksham, Rama and Lakshmana walk southwards. Again they enter the region which we today refer to as Bellari. And in this region of Bellari, which was erstwhile called Kishkindha, Dhakaram should be there, Kishkindha. For example, in Swaram we have Shadjam, Rishabham, Gandharam, Sare ga ma pa dha is Dhaivatam. So whenever you sing, you should say dha and not da. There is a difference. So as they reach the Karnataka Pradesham, Bellari, looking at these 2 gym-bodied men walk, Sugriva gets jitters. He thinks there's something that's bad which is going to happen to me, because I have been excommunicated by my brother Vali. Maybe he has dispatched these 2 men here. He won't come here. Why won't he come? There is a Shapam that he will die if he comes. Because of Matanga Muhuni Shapam, he won't come. So he must have dispatched these 2 men who have been exempted from the curse. So at that point in time, Sugriva dispatches Hanuman. He says, Hanuman, you go and check who these 2 men are. Because Hanuman was very good at body language. So Hanuman went. But he was also a bit doubtful, because imagine a full-fledged Vanara. Because it is not right to say Vanara as monkey, because we don't know if the monkey species that we see today were the Vanaras. Vanaras were like the monkeys that we see today. They could have been the extinct species, because the same cause of the Vanaras, they don't come in Mahabharata except Hanuman. Who is the other Vanara that you come across in Mahabharata times? Maybe those species went extinct. So this Vanara called Hanuman comes in the disguise of a learned scholar. He was the most learned amongst all the Vanaras. He comes. As soon as he sees Rama, he bursts into beautiful shlokas. He says, Ayatascha suvrittascha bahavaha parigopamaha sarva bhushana bhusharhaha kimartham na vibhushitaha. Looking at these 2 men, Hanuman says, Ayatascha Suvrittascha, people of such good demeanor who are standing in front of me, Bahavaha parigopamaha. He says men with great hands are standing. Is this a big description, sir? Evening 6 o'clock, we have relinquished all our work and we have been sitting, and there you are telling us hands. This is where there is a nuance here. He says Bahavaha. Bahu means hand. Bahu means 2 hands. Bahavaha means 3 or more than 3. So we have Ekavachanam, Dvivachanam, Bahuvachanam in Sanskritam. Looking at Rama, he should have said Bahu, not Bahavaha. No sir, that is a mistake. When you see something great, probably you may not stick to the rules of Wren, Martin, Elizabeth and Victoria, right? You may go astray. Maybe Hanuman may be he was so ecstatic after seeing Rama that he just made a grammatical mistake. ये सब चलता है. But Hanuman should not do that mistake. He is a Navavyakarana Pandita. We will do. But he won't do. He should not do. So the commentator states why Hanuman has used the word Bahavaha. He says, Yadva Hanumato Bhaktatvena Tasya Chaturbhujaveshena Drishyo Abhavat. Only to Hanuman in the entire Ramayana, Rama showcased his hands with Shankam and Chakram, it seems. That is why he saw Rama with 4 hands, he used the word Bahavaha. So, if Sudarshana is important to us and to the Lord, the pertinent question which will come to in our minds is, why in Ramayana there is no Chakram, but to Hanuman alone there is a Chakrayudham which is showcased. Okay sir, it was showcased to Hanuman. Is there any proof for it today? Idigo Bhadradri Gautami Adigo Chudandi. Idigo Bhadradri Gautami Adigo Chudandi. Anupamanavai Ati Sundaravai Dhanaruchakramudu Dhagadaga Merisedi. If you go to the Vimanam of Bhadragiri, Bhadradri, at the top you see a chakram. Because in the Ganga dynasty and in the Kalinga dynasty, it was important that above the Shikharam you will have a chakram, Dhanaru Chakram. And if you see the Lord who's housed under the Vimanam in Bhadradri, he will have Shankam and Chakram. So Chakram is important. Even in Ramavataram there was Chakram. Does anybody else acknowledge this? Towards the end of Yuddha Kandam, Brahma tells Rama, Bhavan Narayano Devaha Shrimans Chakra Yudha Prabhuhu. The one whom I am seeing in front of me is the one who holds the discus called Sudarshana, says Brahma. So be it to Hanuman, be it to Bhadrachala Ramadas called Kancharla Goppanna, or Brahma's Vakyam in Ramayanam, Rama had a chakram which was not visible to our eyes. Next comes Varahavatam. In Varahavatam, we get across Bhuma Devi Gaur Bhutva. She goes in the form of a cow, she goes and cries. Similarly, parts of the earth were submerged. Thank God this is held in Bangalore and not Delhi. Right? It will be parts of the earth were submerged. See, we need to understand Varahavatam from the perspective of climate as well. Today, we say there is pollution, yes, there is greenhouse effect, there is global warming, the rivers rise, the snow melts, the oceanic levels rise, parts on the coast will get submerged. All of this is said today. Yes, it is on an extreme, but not that our past was all flowery and was all in glory. We had pollution even during those days. Please remember, when we deal with Varahavatam, we need to understand Varahavatam as a description given in our Itihasam and Puranam from a Pratyaksha perspective. Bhagavad Ramanuja and Sri Bhashyam says, when you have Vakyam from Shabda Shastram, verbal testimony, interpret them based on what you see in Pratyaksham. For example, what have we been told, or what do we read? Hiranyaksha took Mother Earth and placed her in the oceanic waters. Correct? So, this is what we have studied. And Amar Chitrakatha, we'll have those first 4 pages. Mother Earth, there is one lady inside that Mother Earth, she will be weeping. She would have got submerged into the waters. Now comes a question. What waters were they? Were there the Atlantic waters, Pacific waters, Indian Ocean waters, or South China Sea waters? Let's tell jeeping about it. South China Sea waters, what did we do? Somebody said, no sir. What Hiranyaksha did was, he took all the waters from Mother Earth, put that in a container. Took this Mother Earth without the waters and put that into it. For that to drown, the depth of the height of the container should be at least twice the diameter of this sphere. Simple maths. If Hiranyaksha had such powers, now comes a question, where did he get those powers from? One. Second, No sir, these are not the salt H2O that we are talking about. It is a different water. It is called Pralayornavam, the oceanic waters of deluge. It is somewhere else. Where is it? We don't know. Somewhere else. Chandrayaan will go and find it. Where is it? We don't know. So, one more thing. After Hiranyaksha's death at the hands of Varaha, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha's wife Rushabhanu and his mother Diti cry over the death of Hiranyaksha. Now, if he had submerged the entire earth, then even Hiranyakashipu should have died, because all of them will die. So, how do we understand this? Please understand that all this is centered around the Himachal, Kashmir and Pakistan region. That is why it is called Kashyapa Vihara, Kashmira. So everything related to Kashyapa you will find in that geography. And that place, beginning from Afghanistan, Pakistan, lower parts of the Central Asian countries, and then you move towards Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Nepal and Bhutan and Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh and lower part of Tibet, this becomes the Himalayan range. And Himalayan range has Himam. Himam is snow. And that gives rise to all these perennial rivers, Brahmaputra, Ganga, Yamuna, Jhelum, Ravi, Chandrabhaga, Lambodari called Liddar. All these rivers come from there. And they all largely come from glaciers. So Hiranyaksha was a big deterrent to Mother Nature. He caused such imbalance in the flora and the fauna, due to which the glaciers started melting. And as those glaciers melted, the river water swelled up. As the river water swell, the habitat around the region of the river, they will all get submerged, that region alone. So when those parts of the earth get submerged, it doesn't mean the entire earth got submerged. Then why do we say Bhumi got submerged? Because we do by Pratyaksham. When we buy a small 30 by 40 BDA site, before constructing our house, we do Bhumi Puja. Do we do Puja to the entire Bhumi or 30 by 40 alone? Even if we do Puja to 30 by 40, we call it Bhumi Puja. Even if a small portion of the earth is submerged because of a person, we call it the earth was submerged. Like how houses which are built and then roads are built above the house level, now we have a civil engineering technique of putting pulleys and then bringing the house 6 feet up. Varaha of that region brought those submerged portions alone up. So Varaha Avataram should be seen in that perspective alone. Now, in Varaha Avataram, Bhuma Devi says, Namaste Pundarikaksha Shankha Chakra Gadadhara Mam Uddhara Asmadyatvam Twattoham Purvamuthita. Twattoham Purvamuthita. You once uplifted me, O the Lord, with Shankham and Chakram. Now our topic is Chakram. We have covered Rama Avataram. In Varaha Avataram, he had Chakram. Where did he have his Chakram? Kridat Prakoda Damshtra Hati Dalati Hiranyaksha Vakshakavata. So where did he have that Chakram? He had that Chakram in his tusks, it seems, says the shloka. So Chakram is called the Sankalpa Shakti of the Lord. When I deal with Nisimha Avataram, I'll deal with the Sankalpa Shakti. So Chakra has penetrated the tusks of the Lord. Now, in Varaha Avataram, like how we had Rama Avataram holding Shankham and Chakram in the Divyadesham called 7.5 minutes back I said Bhadrachalam. Yeah, sure I said no? So in Varaha Avataram, if you go to this sthalam called as Sri Mushnam, in Sri Mushnam, it is a beautiful temple. Sri Mushnam is near a place called Viluppuram in Tamil Nadu. It is a beautiful temple for Varaha. And there if you go to that temple, you will see a beautiful image of Varaha. The Mula Murti is very small. Temple is huge. When you go to the Garbhagram, you will start searching where the Mula Murti is. Somewhere here, this much. And you can even fact check me, like how India Today does. You can fact check if I am speaking the truth or not. Google Acharya will give now. Chat GPT is a Paramacharya. In a few years from now, you don't even need an Upanyasaka. If you type Sudarshana, it will give you the entire page. If it recognizes my voice and you press in which voice you want, it can change and it can speak. Before that, I should find another profession. Now, if you go to this Varaha, he will be holding his hands like this and will be turning like this. You observe his hand, he will have chakram there. Zoom and see. In Google, if you put Varaha Sri Mushnam, you can zoom and see. So, like how in Ramavataram we have Chakra Yudham, in Varahavatam, Chakra penetrated into the tusks. Because always Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya cha Dushkritam will always happen through Chakram. So, Chakra is the one who has to be the one that annihilates the demoniac forces, and that penetrated into the tusks of Varaha. Next, coming to Nrisimhavataram. Now, in Nrisimhavataram, it was a very complicated varam that Hiranyakashipu had asked. I should not die during the day, nor during the outside, nor inside. The person who's killing me should not be an animal, nor should be a human being. All these complicated varams. That is when he said, that which kills me should neither be animate or inanimate. Neither animate nor inanimate. So animate means Chetana Prakriti, sentient matter. So if you throw one king cobra, that cannot bite him, because that is living. Achetanam, you cannot throw any bomb at him. Nothing you can do. So the one that kills him should neither be animate nor inanimate. Chetana, Achetana Prakriti cannot kill him. Now there was a big question here. Then what will kill him? That is why the Lord chose his nails. Nails, besides the cuticle portion, the remaining is an accumulation of dead cells. They are treated as dead cells, but the cuticle. But if they are treated as dead cells, how do they grow? So they show the sign of growth, thereby showing they are Chetana. But they are dead cells, so they are Achetana. Like metalloids that come between metals and non-metals, this nail comes between animate and inanimate. That is why Ananda Tirtha Purna Prajna Madhvacharya from this Pradesham of Karnataka wrote a beautiful stuti called Nakhastuti. He has done a stuti not on Nrisimha, on his nails. So nails determine that portion. Now nails also signify something very interesting. Let's take nails. Nails arise from the body, which is Achetanam, and nails come out, but they show the attribute of a Chetana Prakriti. So Nrisimha tore open Hiranyakashipu using his nails. Now where is Sudarshana coming, sir? There is a beautiful stotram called Mantra Raja Pada Stotram. How many of you have heard of this? Please read. It's a beautiful shlokam. Mantra Raja Pada Stotram. In Mantra Raja Pada Stotram, here Lord Shiva is called as Ahir Budhnya. Ahihi Budhnya. Ahihi Budhnya. Ahir Budhnya. Lord Shiva's very unique name. Many of them ask, sir, I've got a grandson, give him one unique name. Keep him Ahir Budhnya. I don't know how he is going to fill the application form. Ahir Budhnya. So Lord Shiva is called Ahir Budhnya. Ahir Budhnya, there is a Samhita called Ahir Budhnya Samhita. In that there is this Mantra Raja Pada Stotram. So our Acharyas have said, if you want your children who have also studied well to receive the grace of the Lord during their exams, then recite this shloka. They should also study. Now if I tell it is good for passing exams, you unnu padikadra yen odbedo. Mantra Raja Pada Stotra kudbidate yen kodalla na odbeku. So we should know that UV rule in differential calculus. Go there, write well, and they will surely be. See, where does God's grace feature here? People generally ask, sir, in Sanatana Dharma they say if you pray to the Lord things will happen. It will happen. Like how the child studies differential calculus, studies the L'Hopital rule, goes there, checks the question and writes the answer. Now, where will the God's grace come? When this paper goes to the examiner, there are some great examiners who will forget to evaluate certain answers. That is when Mantra Raja Pada Stotram will tell the examiner, evaluate this. So, what is the prerequisite for that evaluation? The child has to write. So then you read Mantraraja Padastotram, Lord Shiva says, Sarvaira Vadhyatam Praptam Sabalaugham Dite Sutam Nakhagraihi Shakali Chakre Yastam Veeram Namamyaham. When Nisimha came with his nails, Nakhagraihi Shakali Chakre. Chakra Sudarshana was seated in his nails, it seems. So for Varaha, it is in his tusks. For Nisimha, it is in his nails. Now, sir, since you are talking about Sudarshana and Nisimha, we have a question. When we go to some of the ancient temples built as per the Agamas, especially in the Sanctum Sanctorum dedicated to Sudarshana, we find Nisimha behind him. Why? They will keep one mirror also so that you can see Nisimha. Why? Remember, we have a willpower. We all have a willpower. But that willpower is not that strong. Willpower has to be strong, but our will is not that strong. So, our willpower is always comes under the purview of karma. Whereas, Nirankusha, the one which is uncontrolled willpower, is called as Sudarshanam. That is called the divine will. Divine will is called Sudarshanam. This particular power of the Lord as per Agamam is called Sudarshanam. So Sudarshanam comes from the root word Sudarshana. So Sudarshana word gives rise to the word Sudarshanam, which means divine will. Whose divine will is it? Nisimha's divine will. What is Nisimha's divine will called? Sudarshana, Sudarshana. So birds of the same feather always flock together. Since Nisimha's divine will is called Sudarshanam, Sudarshana and Nisimha are placed one after each other. So one you'll have in the front, one at the back. Now if you look at that chakram, when you go to a temple from now on, notice that Nisimha will have 4 hands. What will we have in those hands? All the 4 hands he will have chakram. If you see, so there is a chakram. Within that chakram, there is Nisimha with 4 hands. He will have chakram. In the front, you will have Sudarshana with 16 hands. And what does the first hand have? It has got a chakram. So, Swasankalpa Kalakalpaihi Ayudhaihi Ayudheshwaraha Jushta Shodashabhir Divyai Jushatambah Parafpuman Yadayattam Jagat Chakram Kala Chakram Chasashvatam Patuvastat Param Chakram Chakra Rupasya Chakrenaha. So there is a chakra within that chakra. What does that signify? Because the Eastern philosophy, which we call as Sanatana Dharma, which is an Oriental civilization, Oriental philosophy, we are circular or cyclic in nature. That is why Adi Shankara says, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. So this cycle is a vicious cycle. It doesn't start and end. As it ends, it starts. So if this Janma, how has this Janma gone? I'm sure there will be people across ages. But one thing is for sure, when we started our kindergarten, we would have surely started with the black sheep. You remember that black sheep? That black sheep gave wool. It gave to 3 people. It had a unique distribution like the payasam. It gave to 3 people. And we'll ask, whom did you give that wool to? And we have to memorize those lines. Instead, had we memorized a few suktas of the Vedas, it would have been beneficial. And then the boy and the girl go up the hill, they come tumbling down. Jack and Jill, they came tumbling down. They should have been careful. That we will learn. And now when elders of the family come, you will just generally say, tell Jack and Jill to that uncle. Is this some mantram which is to be repeated? That's how we have all spent our kindergarten. Elementary school, shoot system, root system, photosynthesis, chlorophyll, all that is over. Middle school, we read about a great parampara. What is the parampara that I spoke in the month of October here? The same premises, Vyasam, Vasishtha Naptaram, Shaktev Pautram, Akalmasham, Parasharatmajam. Vasishtha was the teacher to Rama. His son Shakti was a great rishi. Shakti's son Parashara gave us Vishnu Puranam. Parashara's son Vedavyasa gave us Mahabharatam. Vyasa's son Shukabrahmam gave us Bhagavatam. So Ramayana, Mahabharata, Vishnu Purana, Bhagavata Purana comes in one family. But did we read about that family? No. We read about one family which imprisoned us, which collected taxes from us. 10-mark question, write in 1,000 words. How Aurangzeb imprisoned his father? 10-mark question. I am not against reading any part of history. Read every part of history. Don't read only one part of the history. Read other empires as well. We had such great kings called Gopala. We had the Pala dynasty of Bengal. We had Vishnuvardhana of Hoysala dynasty. We had Prataparudra, Kausalyayai Prathama Janani, Devaki cha Dvitiya, Vishnur Mata, Tadanu Vasata, Mummadamba Tritiya, says the poet in Prataparudriyam of the Kakatiya dynasty. We have Krishna, the beautiful emperor of the Rashtrakutas. We had Mahendravarman of the Pallava dynasty. We had Rajaraja and Jayam Ravi of Chola dynasty. We had the Pandyas, we had the Vijayanagaras, Achyuta Devaraya, Krishna Devaraya, great kings, Shivaji, Sambhaji. We had Chaulukya dynasty, we had Chalukya. Chalukyas were from Karnataka, Chaulukyas from Bengal, from Gujarat. Bhima the first, they were all kings. So we should read every part of history. We read that. Then 9th or 10th they will say, are you good at maths and science? Because if you don't become an engineer in some of the families, you'll be excommunicated. So after that, you will have to do your engineering. Even in a college that you may ask, are there campus interviews? There's no campus. Campus interview ke liye pehle to campus hona chahiye. So then we will end up doing a master's in investment banking. Bachelor's was in thermodynamics. Then he will leave both and then he will start a family business in extrusions. And then finally, he may end up being an Upanyasaka. So this is how life goes. One day the Atma will leave this body. Where will it go? Into another body, and it has to read the same Baba Black Sheep again. So Sudarshana beautifully describes. He is an icon for telling us how life is cyclic in nature. The only way to get rid of this vicious cycle is to get out of the cycle. That is called moksham. So Sudarshana in a way may signify the Divyayudham of the Lord. In another way, he signifies the philosophy of this land. That said, after Nisimhavataram, in Nisimhavataram itself, whether does he have Shankham Chakram? I am sure those of you who know the Madhva Sampradayam will know there was a great Acharya called as Vijayendra Tirtha, who lived in Kumbhakonam in the southern state of Tamil Nadu. Darage Dakshina Kaveri Tira Kumbhapura Vasanu Neene Karalli Vinaya Ganava Maduta Uraga Bhushananu Neene Koralalli Bhasma Rudrakshava Dharisida Parama Vaishnavanu Neene Garuda Gamana Shri Purandara Vithalage Prana Priyanu Neene Chandra Chuda Shiva Shankara Parvati Ramanane Ninage Namo Namo Darage Dakshina Kaveri Tira Kumbhapura Vasanu. Kumbhapuram is Kumbhakonam. So in Kumbhakonam was this Madhva Sannyasi called as Vijayendra Tirtha. Vijayendra Tirtha, while describing his Aradhya Daivam called Nisimha, says, Shankham Chakram Chachapam Parashuma Shamishum Shulapashankushastram Bibhrantam Vajrakhetam Hala Musalagada Kunta Matyugra Damshtam Jwala Kesham Trinetram Jwala Dala Nibham Harake Yura Bhusham Vande Pratyeka Rupam Parapada Nivasapatu Mam Narasimha. So when Nisimha had 16 hands, one of the Ayudham was Chakram. So Nakam has Chakram. Ayudham also he has got Chakram. Rama had Chakram which was visible to Hanuman. Varaha had Chakram in Sri Mushnam and that permeated into his tusks. In Vamana Avataram, where will Chakra be? He kept it in his bag, sir. Marandu Ututar? Kushagram. Very good. Now let's go to Vamanavataram. Vamanavataram evade? എവിടെ? തൃക്കോയിലൂർ. ഇത് തമിഴ്നാടാണ്. പിന്നെ പറയാം എന്താണ്? കേരള അല്ലേ? ഓണത്തിൻ്റെ സദ്യ കഴിച്ചല്ലോ, പൂഗോലം കഴിച്ച് ചക്കവരട്ടിയെല്ലാം അടപ്രഥമൻ എല്ലാം ഉണ്ടാക്കി ഓണത്തിൻ്റെ ദിവസം വന്നല്ലേ. അതാണ് ആക്ഷൻ റീപ്ലേ. മനസ്സിലായോ? ദിസ് വാമനാവതാരം which the Astikas of Kerala state is an action replay, which is after the avatara has happened many years or millennia later, the rishis and the siddha purushas of that region will meditate upon the Lord to showcase what happened in the before. They'll say that we were not fortunate enough to witness Vamanavataram. We were not fortunate to witness Trivikramavataram. In our yogic vision, can you please show that again? So that is why in their Antarjyotir Kimapi Aminam Anjanam Yoga Drishtehe. In the Yoga Drishti, the Lord will give that action replay of that avataram. Why? Because Vamanavataram happened with Bali. Bali was whose grandson? Now, where is Kerala? It is Parashurama Kshetram. It is a reclaimed land of Parashurama. So it could have not happened before Parashurama's time. Parashurama happened after Vamanavataram. How can it happen in Kerala? So where was Vamana born? $1 million question. My friend Arnabilas, nation wants to know. So I am assuming the nation is Bangalore here. It wants to know where was Vamana born. He was born in Bihar. In a few days, Bihar is coming to Bangalore. But now, Vamana was born in Bihar. How do we know? In Ramayanam, in Balakandam, when Rama goes on an internship with Vishwamitra for 6 days, Vishwamitra shows him the ashramam called Siddhashramam and says, Rama, pay your obeisances to this ashramam where Kashyapa's son Vamana was born. So Kashyapa, who lived in Kashmir during the winter days, must have had a place in Bihar. Vamana was born there. But where did Vamana go to the Yajnavatika of Bali? It was in Bharuch in Gujarat on the banks of river Narmada, says Bhagavatam. So Bali Chakravarti was in Gujarat. Now, during Vamanavataram, Vamana was 5-year-old. The Upanayanam had happened. And as the Upanayanam had happened, he had got the Krishnajinam, the deer skin over him as a cover. And with a little kamandalam and with a chatram, Bhattadri Narayaniyam says, he was himself shot. Vamana means a dwarf whose pituitary gland has not functioned that well. Dwarfism is a disorder. He was shot. Imagine his umbrella. It would have been a customized umbrella. Small umbrella, small kamandalam. With that he goes to the Yajnavatika of Bali. Bali was done with giving away Dhanam. Suddenly he heard an audio. Bali? Where is that audio coming? No video. He looked down, he saw somebody very minuscule. He sat on the floor and said, Sir, what do you want? I thought you were giving alms to people and giving what people had sought. I have come with that firm belief that you will give what I want. What do you want? Just 3 measures of land. Immediately he said, please give those 2 villas in Gurgaon. Vindhyavali said, Sir, those 2 villas have submerged in Gurgaon. But somehow you give those 2. So, that is when Vamana intervened and said, see, I will not take what you give. I will measure on my own. With what will you measure, oh you little Lilliput? With what will you measure? I will measure with my foot. Bali mocked. Your foot is so small, it is negligible. I can't even see it. I don't know if you can. Vamana said, don't worry at all, I will manage. While Bali agreed to Vamana's request, he asked his wife Vindhyavali to come with a kamandalam to pour the waters. Vindhyavali came. That is when Shukracharya came and held Bali's hand and said, come here. And he took him aside to the backstage and said, as I speak, don't react. Bali, don't turn towards that boy. What did that boy say? He said he's the son of Kashyapa. What did he ask? He asked for 3 measures of the land. And what did you say? I said, I'll give. No. Change that decision. You just go tell that you will get back shortly. If I go as a king, as a person, as a king who has been administering his kingdom, if I go and tell him, I will get back to you shortly, what will he think of me? He'll think you're customer care. Which means you'll never get back. Why should I not give him alms? Shukracharya said, this boy who has come with such innocent face is the one that came as Nrisimha and tore open the tummy of your grandfather's father Hiranyakashipu. He has come seeking alms. There is something very, very clandestine about his approach. That is when Bali said, nothing doing. I have promised him that I will give. I will go give. As Bali poured the waters as a mark of giving alms, the waters didn't come from the Kamandalam, because Shukracharya, through his powers, austerities and intense austerities with which he had gathered and accrued such powers, through the Dharma Bhuta Jnanam had gone into a bee. It is very wrong in Shastram to say Shukracharya became the bee. Be very careful with words. Because this Pancha Bhautika Shariram, you cannot just become. There is one Siddhi called Ashtama Siddhi, Anima, Laghima and so on, with which you can change shapes, but it is not very prevalent amongst rishis. They will not use that. To convert one Pancha Bhautika Shariram to another is not that easy, but what you can do is you can always show your influence on the other. So through the Dharma Bhuta Jnanam, while Shukracharya was in his material body, he had penetrated through the Dharma Bhuta Jnanam into a bumblebee. That bee had blocked the passage of the waters coming. Now, immediately when the waters didn't come, because that Dhanam will not get complete, that is when Bali said, Vindhyavali, call the plumber. Sir, you are an engineer. An engineer is not supposed to do such things. Engineer will not know such things. An engineer will not know basic things in the house. You need a plumber. That is when this boy said, why do you need a plumber? I am the plumber. I have the toolkit with me. He took a darbha grass. Remember, this darbha, when it is green, when it is fresh, it is soft. As it is dried, it becomes sharp. So he took the darbha and inserted into the dwaram, thereby hurting one of the eyes of the bumblebee. Now you are all listening to this. Now there will be a few insect activists. They will now say, we will file a case in the Supreme Court. Now only Raghavan sir has gone. We will file a case on Vamana. How can he hurt a bumblebee? Now, when the darbha grass went and pierced one of the eyes of the bumblebee, in reality, Shukracharya lost one of his eyes. Now, the mystic saint poet in the Tamil tradition, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ದಾಸ ಪರಂಪರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೀವಿ. ವಿಜಯ ವಿಠ್ಠಲ ದಾಸ, ಪುರಂದರ ದಾಸ, ಕನಕದಾಸ, ಆ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ದ್ರಮಿಡ ಭಾಷೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋ ತಮಿಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆಳ್ವಾರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋ 12 ಮಹನೀಯರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ 12 ಆಳ್ವಾರ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬಳು ಸ್ತ್ರೀ ವರ್ಗ, ಆಂಡಾಳ್, ಗೋದಾನಾಚ್ಯಾರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೀವಿ. ಅವಳ ಪಾಲನೆ ಪೋಷಣೆ ಮಾಡಿರೋದವರು ವಿಷ್ಣು ಚಿತ್ತ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವ ಪೆರಿಯಾಳ್ವಾರ್. ಪೆರಿಯಾಳ್ವಾರ್ was a mystic poet who nourished and nurtured his dear daughter called Andal. In his outpouring called as Periyalvar Tirumozhi, he says, Shukkiran kannai aruttane accho accho. ಅಚ್ಚೋ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಸಂಬೋಧನ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತದಲ್ಲಿ. ಹಂತ, ಹಾ, ಹೋ, these are all sambodhanam, like how in English we say wow, alas, right? These are all exclamatory words, sambodhanam. Hanta bhagyam jananam, says Bhattadri. Hanta, ha, dik, these are all sambodhanam. So in Tamil we have words like acho, achucho. So Alva says, Shukkiran kannai aruttane acho, acho. So Shukkiran is Shukra. Kannai aruttane. Who took that eye? Kannai aruttane acho, acho. Chakarakayyane acho, acho. The one who has chakra took that hand of Shukracharya. No sir, Vamana he took that grass. I will read out the line. Krishnambodasya bhusha krita nayana naya vyahatir bhargavasya. Since Shukra came in the kulam of Bhrigu, he is called Bhargava. Who took krita nayana? Nayana is eye. Who took that eye? Vamana took with the darbha because it had chakram in it. So in Vamana avataram, chakram is seed within the darbha. In Nisama avataram, Varaha avataram, very good. All of you will get 99 percentile. Then what will I do? Huh? In Tripura Samharam. So we have this Tripura Samharam which is greatly mentioned for Lord Shiva in Shiva Puranam, in Linga Puranam, in Mahabharatam, in Bhagavatam. In Bhagavatam, those of you who are here will be extremely adept at Bhagavatam. In Srimad Bhagavata Mahapuranam, Saptama Skandam, the 7th canto, after Nisimhavataram, we have one portion of Tripura Samharam. So where is this Tripura Samharam? It is featured in our Puranas. In Mahabharatam, there is Tripura Samharam. See, when Karna was a very jealous person. Please understand that every time I tell, somehow, as soon as I tell this, if I go to Twitter, I'll see Danveer Karna. Those days, every king was Danveer. They had to be Danveer. They were the rich people. Right. So, they were Danveer. Karna was not somebody very special. This Karna was so jealous that he will always compare himself with Arjuna. Arjuna was the only one on the Kurukshetra Bhumi while Mahabharatam happened whose charioteer was more qualified than the Rathi. Driver was better qualified than the Rathi. So generally when the car comes, you will wait for the back door to open so that you can garland that person, take photos with that person. Where Arjuna's Ratha used to come, everybody used to take selfies only with Krishna. Arjuna used to keep standing. Though he is the Rathi, Krishna is only Sarathi. He is before the Rathi. But Krishna was only overqualified Sarathi on the Bhumi. That is why Karna thought, I should also have a person who is more qualified than me. But nobody was ready to drive. That is when Shalya, the uncle of Nakula and Sahadeva, he was forced to be, coaxed to be on the side of the Kauravas. That is when Duryodhana goes and tells him, you please become the charioteer of Karna. Because Karna wants it. He demands. His only demand is, if I have to fight the war, I should get a very good qualified driver. He should have at least a charter after doing 3 levels of CFA. He should have 2 levels of FRM. Now that is when Shalya was not convinced. Why should I become the charioteer? That is when Duryodhana says, see, when Lord Shiva had to destroy the Tripuras, he made Mother Earth as the chariot, Chandra Surya as the wheels, the 4 Vedas as the horses. And to find an adept charioteer, he made Brahma, his own father, as his charioteer. When Brahma could ride the chariot for Shiva, Shalya, you could drive it for Karna. So this Tripura Samharam is a description in Karna Parva by Duryodhana. Duryodhana Vacha. Now this Tripura Samharam comes in Mahabharatam, it comes in Vishnu Puranam, it comes in Bhagavatam, it comes in Linga Puranam, Shiva Puranam. Does it come in Ramayanam? Yen sir, don't ask such primitive questions. Navalla Valmikige doubt idre nammatrane keltare. It comes, I'll tell you where, note this down. In Sundarakandam, when Hanuman burns the entire Lanka, Valmiki says, Hanuman burnt Lanka like how Shiva burnt Tripura. So there is a mention through Tripura Samharam there. Now where is this Tripura Samharam happen? Some research scholars opine it must have happened in the northern Sumatra island of the archipelago nation Indonesia. So in Indonesia there are many volcanoes. And the effect of volcanoes is, it always, when the magma, when the lava comes out, what lava? Dominoes lava. So when that comes out, it will push the minerals up. Generally in volcanic regions, you don't have to mine much. You will have the minerals on earth. And metals won't come, aurum or argentum won't come as is, ferrum. They will come as an alloy. So it is believed by scholars that the three sons of Tarakasura was killed by Kartikeya. His three sons, Tarakaksha, Kamalaksha and Vidyunmali, they must have taken custody of the volcanic regions of Indonesia. And that is when Shiva came to this Tiruvadikai. This is a place near Tirukkovalur in Tamil Nadu. If you see in the map, you don't even have Lanka in between. It's a straight view from Tamil Nadu to Indonesia, northern Sumatra island. So in the midst, he must have shot the arrow. When you take land like this, volcano like this, magma pushes itself. Doesn't it look like an arrow that comes from the bow? So Shiva shot that arrow. And those three people who held those volcanoes died. Now there is also a mention of a lake in Shiva Puranam that is called the Toba Lake. It is one of the largest volcanic lakes formed there. So don't think that all our incidents of our Puranas must have started from Banashankari and ended in Yelahanka. It is all global. Paramacharya of Kanchipuram, Chandrasekharendra Saraswati, used to go to the extent of saying that Kapilaranyam is California. Kapila lived there. And Kaikeyi belonged to the region of Russia. This is what Paramacharya used to state. Now getting back to the point, why Tripura Samharam here, sir? When Tripura Samharam happened, there is a mention in Harivamsham that the Ratham of Shiva stopped at one point. Vishnu became the bull and he pulled the chariot forward. Then when Shiva made parts of Meru Parvatam and took those rocks and made a bow. Kim karo Meru Dhanva, says Vedanta Deshika. Meru Dhanva. Meru became the bow. He had to insert an arrow. That is when Harivamsham says, Yogeshwaraha Harihi. Hari, who's called Yogeshwara, Vishnu became the arrow. And the tip of that arrow was Agni. That is when Samhita says the tip of the arrow was Sudarshana Chakram. So in Tripura Samharam, Sudarshana was deployed at the tip of the arrow. Who says this? Hara Pura Plosha Karana, says Vedanta Deshika. Hara, Shiva, Pura, Tripura, Plosha. The one who brought the annihilation to that Tripura was Chakra in the form of an arrow. So in Tripura Samharam also Sudarshana is used. Then after Tripura Samharam, we have Krishna Avataram. In Krishna Avataram, where does that come, sir? When Krishna was born, he was born with Shankham Chakram. Tamadbhutam Balakam Ambujekshanam Chaturbhujam Shankhagadar Yudhar Yudam. He has got Shankham and Chakram. Then what did Mother Devaki say? Hide it. Correct? Now, young India, they will always answer well. So, Mother said, Upasamhara te Brahman. Please hide those hands. My brother will come and see. When you see someone with Shankham and Chakram, you will know that this person can bring anything to the world. But she is a mother. She feels that Kamsa will come and do something to the boy. She says, hide those hands till my brother is there. There is a Vakyam in Bhagavatam. Till my brother is there, hide those two hands. Correct? Now what does the corollary mean? The corollary is, when my brother is not there, then have those hands. That is the corollary, right? See, when we do puja, generally we have to do harati to the Lord. What will we say? Please switch off the fan, because you are doing harati. What does that mean? I am doing harati, switch off the fan. Corollary is, after I finish the harati, switch on the fan. Correct? You won't say switch on after the harati. If you say, I am doing harati now, so switch off the fan. So the unsaid statement is, after the harati is done, switch on the fan. Till my brother is there, hide those hands with Shankham and Chakram. The corollary is, after my brother is dead, keep those hands with Shankham and Chakram. So after Kamsavadham, Krishna had 4 hands. Sir, entire T. Ramarao Garu did not have 4. What can I do if the director didn't listen to my upanyasams? In Vishnu Chittiyam, it is clearly said Krishna had 4 hands. Do you have any proof? You know, there will be great Krishna devotees. They'll say, nahi, Bhagwan Krishna ko 2 ही हाथ थे. आप क्या बोल रहे हैं Guruji, Panditji? They will ask. Correct? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna shows his cosmic form. He says that I create, I destroy, I sustain. The fire goes from Mukhamapi Dahano, Yasya Vasteyam Abdhi, Antastham, Yasya Vishwam, Sura, Nara, Khaga, Go, Bhogi, Gandharva Daityehi. So entire creation is mine. Arjuna was flabbergasted. This man whose sister I am married to, this man who is my own uncle Vasudeva's son, this man with whom I have played is in such a huge form. That is when Arjuna says, Krishna, first he said, I can't see you. That is when Krishna gave him special spectacles. Divyam dadami te chakshuhu. I'll give you divine glasses. Now after this, Arjuna says, I can't take this form. Krishna said, please tell me one statement decisively. If I show my form, you're saying I can't see it. If I give you divine eyes, you're saying I can't take this. What should I do, Arjuna? Read that Bhagavad Gita line carefully. Svenaiva rupena chaturbhujena. Please come back to your original form with 4 hands. So Bhagavad Gita statement proves that Krishna had 4 hands. In that he had chakram. Now, during his stay in Gokulam and Vrindavanam, where his hands were hidden, Shankham and Chakram was hidden, did he showcase this to the public there? Yes. I will tell you one incident mentioned in the Tamil Prabandham called Periyalvar Tirumozhi. This is an anecdote that I am going to take you 1000 years back that occurred in Srirangam. Srirangapattina illide. Srirangam Tiruchirappalli hatra iro Divyadesha. Saptaprakara madhye anta iro Divyadesha Tamil Nadalli ide. So there if you go to this Divyadesham, Ramanujacharya had kept this Divyadesham as his headquarters for many years together. So there was a unique dance form that evolved in the 8th century to elucidate, delineate and enjoy the verses of the Alvars. It is called Arayar Sevai. So they will be having a crown and they will be having a talam and they will be doing this Arayar Sevai. So 1000 years back, one Arayar, one person who dances, shows Abhinayam, was showing Abhinayam to Periyalvar's Pasuram. This is in Tamil. What does the Alvar say? He says, Acchudan, Attudan, Appuchi Kattugindran. Acchudan, Attudan, Appuchi Kattugindran. Krishna, who's called Achyuta, who went as a messenger of the Pandavas, Appuchi Kattugindran. What is Appuchi, sir? See, in childhood, some may have had the habit of bending your eyelids. That pale reddish form, if the opposite person sees, they will get those shivers, right? That process of showcasing some fear factor, khatron ke khiladi, in the opposite person is called Appuchi in Tamil. So what does Alvar says? Krishna is doing Appuchi to his friends. Kannan, Attudan, Achyutan, Appuchi Kattugindran. So to this Pasuram, the Arayar was doing Abhinayam. Attudan, looking at Ranganatha, he says, Attudan, Appuchi Kattugindran. He said this is how the Lord did. Ramanujacharya was seated in front. He did not open his mouth. Behind Ramanuja was Ramanuja's cousin called as Embar. He was called Govinda. He was a sannyasi. He looked at the Arayar and said, the Arayar got the essence of what that person was hinting at. So you have to repeat the lines in dance. Those of you who are adept in Bharatanatyam Shastram, you will know that in Kautuvam, or let's say in Tillana, or let's say in Varnam, you have to keep repeating that lines. Swami nanundra nadimai endru ulagamellam ariyume Swami nanundra nadimai endru ulagamellam ariyume tamadam செய்யாது வந்திரு மாதோர்பாங்க பூதேಶ சுவாமி சுவாமி நடராஜ தேவா சச்சிதானந்த நடராஜ தேவா தாம் தக்கிட்ட தக்கதீம் நடராஜ தேவா taka dimi. So they will keep repeating that line. So this Arayar first said Attudan Appuchi Kattugindran. Getting hint from Embar, he said Attudan Appuchi Kattugindran. Why? Because the essence was a normal ordinary child will always try to threaten the others by doing what the other child does, bending the eyelids. But Krishna was an extraordinary one. He will always do things which others can't do. So he wanted to bring the fear factor or that wow factor in his friends by showing his extra hands. So Krishna showed that Shankam and Chakram to his friends as well. Next, we have another incident where Chakram comes in Krishna Avataram. Krishna,
it so happened that
I think after the lecture you can.
Just one point.
After the lecture you can. Now, in Krishna Avataram, we have the fruit selling woman. She used to accumulate fruits from the forests. Because Shastram says certain fruits and certain flowers can't be taken or used. Now you may ask, what mistake has that fruit done, sir? What mistake has that flower done? The Acharya says the flower has not done that mistake. Those flowers that have thorns are to be avoided. Why? Now we may have a question with rose. Right? But why? Roses are not forbidden. Those flowers with thorns are forbidden. The Vyakhyanam given is, when the devotee plucks that flower, it seems it will prick his finger. So to not cause damage to the devotee's fingers, they said don't use it. To the Lord you can do whatever you want. But they have been so vigilant and so compassionate. Now coming to the fruits, there is one fruit time and again Shastram has said that the Lord liked, which is jamun fruit. This jamun fruit is something that Krishna liked. Now one lady used to come and sell jamun fruits. So in those days it used to be barter. You give something and take something. So the moment Krishna realized she was selling jamun fruits, he was in the backyard. So he took some dhanyam, and as he walked to the front yard, all the dhanyam had fallen. Now what will he barter with? So he presented to the lady just 2 grains that were attached to his palms. This lady took those 2 grains and said, take the jamun fruit. Krishna said, you don't know how to do business. I've just given you 2 grains and you're giving me those fruits. That is when she said, I don't want to accept grains from you. Give me moksham. Now Krishna asked, how did you know that I give moksham? How did you know that I give moksham? Sujata Rekhatmaka Shankha Chakram. I see some symbols of chakram in your palms. See, whenever we give those finger stamps, right? We instead of signing, we give. In certain cases, as biometrics, we give. In those rekhas for certain avataras, you can see chakram and shankham, it seems. Remember, this rekha, this particular fingerprint is very important, finger mark is very important in a very remote system of seeing the fortune called Nadi Josyam. If you have heard of it, it is said that during the times of Rajaraja, some of the manuscripts of the rishis were retrieved from the rooms of Chidambaram, and from Chidambaram it went to a place called Vaidishwaran Kovil. So they will always take your rekha first. That is why, remember, there is another point. Tiruppanalvar, one of the mystic saints, has sung a beautiful ode on Ranganatha called Amalanadi Piran. In Amalanadi Piran he says, Kayyinal Shuri Shanga Aaliyendi. Ranganatha, you have Shankam and Chakram in your hand. If you go to Sri Rangam, do you see the reclining Lord with Shankam Chakram? No. Where? That is why Deshika says, when you look at the Lord's palm and zoom it, you can see Shankham and Chakra Rekha in that, it seems. So Krishna Avataram had this. Next. In Krishna Avataram itself, we have Kaliya Nartanam. Kaliya comes. Krishna dances on Kaliya. Tamitatajam, tagadajam, tagadikatajam, tam tamitatajam, tagadajam, tagadikatajam, tam tamitajam, jam takitanam, takitatajam, tam tamitatajam, tagadajam, tagadikatajam, tam. So he danced. As he danced, he got a migraine. Who got? Kaliya got. Kaliya Patni, they all came. And they said, see, my husband has done it. He has polluted these waters. He should have not done. Please forgive my husband. This is when after the snake said, now you may wonder, can snakes open their mouth? Again and again I tell in my lecture. Communication doesn't have to be oral. It can be through body language. See, people who have pets will know, when your pet is very upset, it will sit in one place. It won't open its mouth and recite one shloka. It will be upset. So you will know from the body language how your pet is reacting. Similarly, Krishna, upon deciphering the female snakes, knew that they were feeling very remorseful about their husband's act. That is when Krishna asks Kaliya to move from this place. He says, move from this place. How can he move, sir? He is now in a lake. Oxbow lake created by Yamuna, because this lake is connected to Yamuna. Through Yamuna waters he can go to the ocean and then change to another island. That is when Kaliya says, I don't have a problem, but if I go out of this lake, Garuda will come and pounce upon me. Krishna says, don't worry, as I have danced on your hoods, my Chakra Rekha will be on your head. Looking at that Rekha, Garuda will not come. So you will be exempted from becoming Garuda's mainland China food. Kalayasam nija sudarshanam astatosya ninya. Now there is another incident. When Krishna lived in Uttar Pradesh, Mathura, Gokulam, Vrindavanam, and then shifted to Dwaraka, alongside there was a king of Kashi. He was called Poundraka. Poundraka used to open the paper and first few articles on the first page used to be only about Krishna. So he wrote to the editor, sir, you are not covering us at all. We are also Kashi kings. How much should we pay for the ads? Our government will pay for the ads. We'll spend more on ads. So please tell us how much. Let's come to a deal. Early bird offer. Please tell us how much we have to come. That is when media said, see, we don't mind covering, but you should be famous enough so that people will read. That is when Poundraka Vasudeva thought, if I have to become as famous as Krishna, I have to be like Krishna. But to be like Krishna, you should have natural hands. So he went to a workshop and created from fiberglass 2 extra hands. One CD he took and kept one motor below it and said that I am Poundraka Vasudeva. I am the other Vasudeva. I am the original Vasudeva. That Vasudeva of Dwaraka is bogus. I am the original Vasudeva. So through occult, so we believe in rare parts of Sanatana Dharma that there are little practices that bring bad omen to the family. That's called occult, black magic. So that is why they will use hair strands, cloth bits and all of that. All that is not worrying for us because we have Sudarshana. Right? So what to do? That is why somebody said, sir, I am already bald, no problem at all. Nobody can do occult with me. Now, let's see what he did. He did a yagam and executed a kritya. That kritya is said to have troubled the people, and as kritya started troubling, Chakram went out of the hands of Dwaraka and killed Kritya, and in the due process it burnt Kashi. Remember, all our Purana state during the 3000 BCE period, that's when Krishna Avataram happened. 3100 BCE is Kali Yuga's start year. So Mahabharata ended. It is at that point in time, it is very clearly said that in Kashi, the entire city was burnt. and it was rebuilt. Ninye Vanyeva Kashi Davashiki Jatila Jyotisha Yenadaham, he says. In the same Krishna avataram, we get across in the Yuddham where Jayadratha was the king of Sindhu Sauvira Pradesham, around Karachi. That is the exact place if I have to tell about Sindhu Sauvira. Some parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, some parts of the western Punjab and large parts of Sindh. This was Sindhu Sauvira Pradesham. So this Jayadratha belonged to that region. Jayadratha was married to Duryodhana's sister called Dushala. This man had no character. Dushala's husband Jayadratha. Even after knowing that Panchali was wedded and married, he went and abducted her. All this happened in Vanaparva. So as he was abducted, there was a unique haircut by Tony. 5 places they performed and they sent. Now this Jayadratha was humiliated by the Pandavas. He wanted to avenge the humiliation. So he went and told his father, who was a rishi. So the father said, I support what decision you have made. See, look at the rishi. Not all rishis were good. So this rishi said, I support the cause of my son. So what if you have abducted Draupadi? This treatment they should have not done to you, Jayadratha. So you perform penance to Shiva and you tell that if because of my bad etiquette and behavior, if somebody manages to behead me, and if the head falls on the ground, then the person who has shot that arrow should die. Some complicated varam. Now this Jayadratha also received a boon from Shiva that he will be able to stop the Pandavas with all his might for one day. But Arjuna. So Shiva said, see, I have already granted him Pashupatastra. So he has come into my good books. Now I cannot give an exemption to him. It is a uniform code for all of you. But exemption alone is Arjuna. So you others you can stop. That is why after Abhimanyu's death in Chakravyuham, because Arjuna couldn't get inside the Chakravyuham because of Jayadratha, the 4 Pandavas couldn't get inside. Arjuna vows that before the sun sets the next evening, I shall kill Jayadratha. Else I will fall into fire. And after saying this, he turns towards Krishna. Krishna said, you should have asked me. You and your brother, you will promise anything. Now the responsibility of protecting you falls on me. Now Jayadratha was given Z++ security. Nobody could approach Jayadratha. The Yuddham was in full swing. And it was around the evening time. There was no chance for Arjuna to kill Jayadratha. Then they started collecting wooden sticks and started keeping the fire on, because Arjuna, if Arjuna falls into the blazing fire, Yuddham done. These Pandavas will lose or Duryodhana will win. That is when Krishna took his Panchapatram. Panchapatram we do Sandhya Vandanam, right? He took that patram. Now all of them were wondering, because before the sun sets, they have to do Sandhya Vandanam. Why is Krishna lifting? Sun is still shining there. Krishna said, Arjuna, I have to get ready for Sandhya Vandanam. So he created an atmosphere as if it is going to be sunset. So they all said, if Krishna has lifted Panchapatram, he will follow Panchangam very clearly. Everybody started taking their Panchapatram. Now he gave an aura as if the sun is going to set. That said, meanwhile, Jayadratha got some murmurs that it is about going to sunset. Krishna has taken his Panchapatram. See, media was active even in those days. Small news throughout the day they'll keep playing. Okay, Krishna has lifted Panchapatram. Panchapatram has been lifted by Krishna. Active to passive, passive to active. Everything was ready. Now, Krishna was waiting for Jayadratha to exit his protection layer. So Jayadratha said, now I am sure Arjuna will die. He will be turned into a heap of ashes. And he came, peeped. Now what Krishna did in the meanwhile was, besides taking the Panchapatram, he has to prove that it is evening. So momentarily he hid the sun. How did he hide the sun? Sudarshana. We have been told Sudarshana, but there is a problem. I'll tell you here. Now, Sudarshana Chakra, is it bright on both sides or bright only on one side? On both sides. Then how can you hide sun with another bright object? ಹೌದು ಸರ್, ಬಬ್ರುವಾಹನದಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಜ್ಕುಮಾರ್ ಅವರು ಹಂಗಾಗಿಲ್ವಲ್ವೇ? ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್ ಅದು? ಸೊ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, Krishna did not send his chakram and cover. About 22 minutes back, while describing Nrisimhavataram, I spoke about the divine will of the Lord called Sudarshana. Sudarshana doesn't necessarily mean the discus. It means the divine will. We personify the divine will as a discus. As such, there is a divine will. Divine will is an abstract now. So this divine will, Krishna was able to cover the shining rays, the blazing, the scorching rays of the sun with his divine will. Because his divine will is Sudarshanam and Sudarshanam is associated with Sudarshana, we think that the discus covered. It's his divine will called Sudarshana that covered. Who says this? Kartikeya Bhakta, Muruga Bhakta is Arunagirinathar in Tamil. First Tirupugal he says, Muttai Tarubatti Tirunagayatti Kirishakti Charavana Mutti Kuruvittu Kuruvarayana Vodum. முக்கட்பரமர்க்கு சுருதி முற்பட்டது கற்பித்திருவரு முப்பத்து முவர்க்கத்தமரரு அடிபேண பத்து தல ஒத்த கணைதொடு ஒற்றை கிரைமத்தை பொருதொரு பட்டப்பட வட்ட திகிரியில் இரவாக. பட்டப்பட வட்ட திகிரியில் இரவாக. He made it into night. Who made that into night? Krishna. So he doesn't call him Krishna. In Tamil he is called Pachai Puyal. The green beauty, Pachai Puyal. Whom did he ride the chariot for? Arjuna. Pattarku iradattai kadaviya. Pattar is Partha. Parthanuku radattai kadaviya. Pattarku iradattai kadaviya. Pachai Puyal mechu tagu porul pakshattodu rakshittarulvadu poru nade. So as Jayadratha came and the rays of the sun were hidden, Krishna through his divine will then commanded the rays to come out again as the clouds were clearing up. And as those rays were falling on Jayadratha, Krishna said, there is Jayadratha and here is the sun, shoot the arrow. Now, that head had to go and not fall on the ground, then Arjuna will again die. So Krishna said, aim that arrow to fall, let the head fall on the lap of his own father. So that let the one who has sowed this vicious tree also die with the product. So there also Sudarshana comes. So in Krishna Avataram, Sudarshana is found everywhere. Now with Sudarshana coming, in Shishupala Vadham also Krishna Chakrayudham features. Why in Shishupala Vadham, Shishupala came and started abusing Krishna. You have stolen, you are an abactor, you are a cattle thief. You have danced with the women in the middle of the night. If I dance, people say don't go on the 31st December, but when you dance, they call it Rasa Krida. Ye kaise ho sakta hai? So all this he said. Even see the extent to which Shishupala abused Krishna was so high that Duryodhana was feeling bad. Duryodhana was feeling, what is this, Shishupala? This is too much. No, aisa nahi. Everybody was wondering at Krishna's patience. That is when there is this beautiful verse from Yadavabhyudayam. Rabhasa brahmanena hetirajaha rana nirajanam achachara shaurehe tamamam sata sainikastadanim dvishad utpata malatta chakra roopam. When chakra came out of Krishna's fingers, first it did a harati to Krishna, it seems. It was a harati, Mangala Vishayam to Krishna and Amangalam to Shishupala. And Shishupala's head was chopped. See, Yudhishthira, after a lot of struggle, was doing one Grahapravesham. So in that Grahapravesham, one murder has happened. CBI, ED, they have all come. But when those investigative agencies came, Yudhishthira did not say that I've got chest pain. So now after he was beheaded, the head fell, the body fell. No, nobody opened their mouth. because the chakra was still there. So Shakuni said, congratulations on your new house, beautiful interiors. We will visit some other time, and they all left. Now we have one problem here. In most of our natakams, our great B.R. Chopra जी क्या दिखाए हैं? रूपा गंगुली थी, उधर खड़ी थी. नीतीश भारद्वाज तो चक्र चढ़ाए और चक्र वापस आया, और उसने क्या किया? It cut Krishna's finger. You have seen that? Then what Draupadi does? She tears her sari pallu. She is not bothered about the beautiful jari work on it. She tears it and she wraps it around Krishna's finger. Now Krishna will keep slow motion. He'll keep looking at Draupadi. Then in a few days from then, Draupadi Vastrapaharanam will happen. Krishna will remember and he'll supply clothes. Absolutely illogical. This is not there in any of the versions of Mahabharata. See, when we directors assume that we can get more intelligent than Vyasa, we will end up doing all these illogical things. We have to just follow Vyasa. You can delete certain portions because you cannot cinematically project everything that is said. But don't do such things. What is the director's intent? Because Draupadi helped Krishna, later Krishna helped her with clothes. Imagine Draupadi had not helped. Would Krishna have left Draupadi suffer? See, patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. When Acharya say offer whatever little you can, it means this is a sign of our love for the Lord, and it doesn't mean it's a barter. That is why Hinduism in the last 50-60 years, we have made it so commercial. 108 coconuts I will break. Why? See, if you genuinely feel that the Lord is always there to support you, He will support you. See, remember in Sanatana Dharma, Rakshishyati iti Vishwasaha, it is not Krishna who protects you. It is the belief in Krishna that protects you. So you believe that whatever I am today is because of Him. He will not let me go astray. He will help me. He will protect. And that doesn't mean that you should not offer flowers in the temple, give milk in the temple, give oil. See, when a temple is there, for the Moola Vigraha, the main deity, to protect the main deity, you need lubricants on it. That is why they apply tailam. They will give milk, curd, because they will prevent cracks in the Moola Murti. But Agama Shastram doesn't say 1008 liters of milk. You are getting the difference? It says milk. But don't make it 1008 liters. Only when you make 1008 liters, the young generation, Gen Z will ask, why you are wasting so much milk? Because of such acts, tomorrow Barkha will ask me. Right? Why give space for this? So, let us make Sanatana Dharma, which is already a very, very pleasing, liberal, very sensitive, at the same time very logical Dharma, as is. You break 1008 coconuts for the sun to pass. For that he has to study. So, the point, please don't mistake me. I am not ridiculing anybody's bhakti. But bhakti should also be within a certain logical territory. It should not go beyond a certain, my son has to do this, I will do that. No, that is not the way you barter with Lord. You request that my child has to be with good health. I will give 10 people whatever they want, 10 clothes, poor people clothes. All that is fine. But don't make it a barter. The moment you make it commercial, bhakti will completely go away. That is how we start marketing temples also. Correct? You come to this temple, marriage will happen. That is not the way. Probably I may be wrong. My acharyas who have taught me Sri Bhashyam, Gita Bhashyam, Rahasya Trayasaram have never ever told me you pray, this will happen. No. It is more about our understanding of the Lord. Adi Shankara died at the age of 32, such an intellectual. If he had prayed to the Lord, give me more years, he could have got, but he didn't. Ramanujacharya, despite being such an intellectual and a generous person, had to suffer at the hands of a tyrant Chola. Vedanta Deshika had to hide between the corpses. Such great acharyas have suffered. Who are we? Now, coming to Sishupala-vadham, the point I am trying to make is this finger cutting, Draupadi tying up that sari, then slowly in that Vastrapaharanam, slow motion, the director will release Krishna's one strand. You have seen all that? All this is not there in Mahabharata. Okay, so that, and Chakrayudham, it is not as if Krishna was using Chakrayudham for the first time. See, he is not playing frisbee. Why? Now forget. Now, there is another incident in our Puranas which is Gajendra Moksha. In Gajendra Moksham, there is an important element. The Lord doesn't command Sudarshana to go rescue the elephant from the jaws of the virulent crocodile. Even before he says, it has done the task. Why? Because to be a fervent and an ardent servant to the Lord, you will have to understand the Lord's intent. Not every instruction has to be communicated. See, even in our house, let's forget about the Purana days, even in our mundane houses, the everyday houses lifestyle that we live in, between the husband and the wife, between the parents and the child, there are certain instructions which are a given. For example, if a person is making a nice tiffin box for the child or whoever, the person doesn't have to say, take the tiffin box, let it be clean from all sides, let it be tissue white, and then be placed, pack my lunch, which means all this has to be a part of it. So the Lord did not tell Chakra, you go and kill. He executed the function of the Lord. This is called being akin with the Lord's thoughts. It's very important. In Hanuman also we see that this attribute. When Hanuman met up with Sita, if I had been in Hanuman's place, let me be a bit jealous. I want to be aspirational. I want to be in Hanuman's place. Rama has told me, go see Sita. What I would have done? I would have just seen Sita and come back. How is Sita? She is very pretty, very nice. Rama did not say, go talk to her, give my physical identity, confirm that you are the messenger of Rama, call yourself Hanuman, give your previous life history, then give the ring, then collect the Chudamani, then come with that message, don't bring the monkeys directly to me, go to Madhuvanam and then come. Nothing he said. That is why Hanuman was the chosen one. Remember, Hanuman was not the only Vanara who went in search of Sita. There were other Vanaras, but Hanuman was the only one who was entrusted with the ring. Because Rama knew from the demeanor and body language of Hanuman, if at all somebody can do, it is only him. But why did he ask the other Vanaras to go and search? Then they'll feel demotivated. If you don't use the other human resources, and you keep using only one. Sir, why are you then employing us, sir? This is against human resources. They will file some case. So Rama said, you go find Sita. They didn't even ask how will Sita be. Hanuman was the only one who asked, can you give me something so that I can carry to Sita? Because how will she believe that I have come from you? So similar is Chakrayudham. That's said about Chakram. The last part of this lecture is about Chakram's formation. This is a very technical portion. See, Chakram has 6 parts. If you go to a temple, observe from the next time, or you can even Google. In Sudarshana, you will have Jwala around, fire balls. That is called Jwala, first layer. Second is the circumference. That circumference is called Nemi. Then you will have spokes. That is called Ara. Shadara Chakra. Ara means spokes. Ara. Then you will have the central portion which is called Nabhi. Within that Nabhi, there is another line that goes which is called the axle, which is called as Aksha. And within that Aksha is the Lord with 16 hands. He is called Purusha. I will describe it again. Jwala, Nemi, Ara, Nabhi, Aksha, Purusha. So within that Purusha is the Lord himself. Remember, Chakrayudham is nothing but the Lord himself. He carries 16 Ayudhams. Shodasha Ayudham it is called. So when you amplify that and see, you see that 16 Ayudhams. Now what are the works that describe about Sudarshana? In Vihangendra Samhita, there is a Kavacham called Sudarshana Kavacham. In Bhrigu Samhita, there is a kavacham called Sudarshana Kavacham. There is a traditional Panchayudha Stotram. I don't know if you have heard. Spurat Sahasrari Shikhari Tivram Sudarshanam Bhaskara Kotitulyam Suradvisham Pranavinasi Vishnoho Chakram Sadaham Sharanam Prapadye. That is Panchayudha Stotram. Then in Bhavishottara Puranam, there is a Sudarshana Stotram. Then one amongst the acharyas of the 13th century called Vatsya Varada Guru has written a stotram called Heti Pungastava. Heti Pungavastava, the one who protects. It's called Heti Pungavastava. Then in the 13th century, we had Vedanta Deshika who wrote two stotrams called Sudarshanashtakam, and the 16 weapons of the Lord, he has written a shlokam called Shodashayudha Stotram. So, and there is a beautiful work of the 11th century which is very important. Those of you who are planning to do housewarming ceremony, if you want to do a nice Graha Pravesham with a nice homam, please do Sudarshana Homam. In Sudarshana Homam, there are a few Purohitas who are very adept in a work called as Sudarshana Shatakam. There are 101, I think 101 shlokas or 108 shlokas in this Sudarshana Shatakam. So the paddhati for this homam is, after reciting every shloka, you give a ahuti. So this is a very powerful one to get rid of depression. See, it is just not our physical health which is important to us. More than that is mental health. If you go to any good endocrinologist and you ask, sir, if I eat lot of sugar, will I get diabetes? Eating sugar alone doesn't lead to diabetes. There are people who live on sweets. They won't be diabetic. The amount of stress one has will also lead to diabetes. It is a very important factor. So in diabetes mellitus, stress, the amount of stress that you take. When will this lecture end? When will this lecture end? It will end. Don't worry, we are towards the last portion. So don't take that stress. So if you are stressed, that will always show on your body. Remember, mental health is very important for your physical health. So for that mental health, we come across so many problems through profession, personal life, so many problems that people face. So this actually leads to a lot of disorders, personality disorders, many depression in many people if you see around. So one way is Sudarshana Kavacham and Shatakam. So whenever possible, if you can't recite, listen. Listening, Shravanam is even more powerful than Kirtanam. Shravanam is so important. In that Sudarshana Shatakam, Kuranarayana Jiyar, the composer who composed for his Acharya's good health, Tiruvaranga Perumal Arayar, for him he wrote. So this is called Sudarshana Shatakam, and in that one or two shlokas I'll take and complete. Now, when you look at Sudarshana, Kuranarayana Jiyar says, every morning you get up, you have to think of something very auspicious. What to think of auspicious? What are the auspicious things? Family Man Season 2, Season 1. What can we think? Think of Sudarshana in the morning. But how should you meditate? The Dhyanam has a paddhati. He says, first think of the fires that are coming. You know, you have to be like that 3D. You all have to become VFX people now. So you are seeing the Jwala, and as you're zooming in, you will see the spokes, and as you're zooming in further, you see the central Nabhi, and as you're zooming in further, you're seeing the Aksha, and as you zoom in through the Aksha, you see the Purusha. How is the Purusha's color? Shyamam Dhama Prasritya. The one whose complexion is green, black and blue hued. He is standing. Shyamam Dhama Prasritya. From this, what do we know? That our ancient Bharatiyas were not racists. Everything is not white for us. We in fact say that black is the most beautiful of all colors. So Shyamam Dhama Prasritya. You see the Lord in a greenish, bluish, dark hue. This is very important. That color combination. It is dark. It is black, which is the base color. You take some strands of green and some strands of blue and mix it. You should not mix it completely. You should just move it here and there. When you take it from the palette and paint, I should largely see the dark color, but some strands of green and blue. In Sanskritam, it is called Mechakam. That is why Meenakshi of Madurai is called Mechakrangi. Meenakshi me mudam dehi Mechakrangi Rajamatangi. That greenish blue tint should be there. That is that Mechakam. So Meenakshi is always given that color. Generally artists will give her one bright green. There has to be a mix of green. What green should it be? That description is also given. Durvadala pratimaya tavadeha kantya. Durvadalam is arghampul. Kannadalli ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? For Ganesha we submit some grass. That is called arghampul in Tamil. In Sanskritam it is durvadalam. So the tip of durvadalam will have that green. That green should be there. Durvadala pratimaya tavadeha kantya. So you are imagining the Lord with the tinge of green and blue with a black color. Shyamam dhamav prasirtya. Morning you have to meditate. Kvachana bhagavata kvapi babhruf prakritya. Now, in his chest, in that Purusha, see, from the Jwala you have gone crossing the circumference through the spokes, you have gone into that Nabhi, and then inside the Taksham, within the Taksham you are seeing Purusha with 16 hands. The Lord's color is greenish, bluish, black hued, with Mahalakshmi seated in his chest who is gold hued. Then over that Lord is the umbrella of Adisesha, Shubhram Sheshasya Bhasa Kvachana. He is white in color. Remember, Adishesha is white. Adishesha is white. Now don't say no sir, cobra can't be that color and all of that. In Shastram, Adishesha is white. Vellai anai mevi. So white. That is why Lakshmana was also very fair, and so was Shatrughna. He was Shankham. Whereas the Lord Rama and Bharata were dark hue. So here, Shubhram Sheshasya Bhasa Kvachana Manirucha. And on the hoods of Adisesha are two eyes with each hood. They are reddish hue. Manirucha Kvapi Tasyaiva Raktam Neelam Shri Netrakantya. That Mahalakshmi who is seated in the chest, her eyes are like the blue lilies. So the blue lily-eyed Mahalakshmi whose body is gold hued, who is seated on the chest of the Lord, who is dark green, blue, black hued, with the under the shade of the Adisesha who is white hued, who is seated within an aksham, within the Nabhi, amidst the spokes and the Nemi and the Jwala should be meditated in the morning. Now when you meditate on this, what will happen? The worries will go away because your concentration will be step by step what to do. No, he said green, blue. Your mind will go into that. So you won't worry about what is there. So you begin your day with this and not with something else. Shyamam dhamav prasritya kvachana bhagavata kvapi babhruf prakritya shubhram sheshasya bhasa kvachana manirucha kvapi tasyaiva raktam Neelam Shri Netrakantya Kvachidapi Mithunasyaadimisyeva Chitram Vyatanvanam Vitana Shriyamupachitunas Charma Vachakrabhanum. Says the Acharya. Now there are many shlokas in Sudarshana Shatakam. I was told clearly by Adalam Swami that I have to stick only to 1 hour 30 minutes. 1 hour 30 minutes in a general lecture of mine is till the interval. I am used to 2.5 hours of lecture, but I have to respect the organizer and the sheer command that they have given me that I have to stop within a certain time. So I have taken 12 minutes more than what was ordained for me, but I am sure all of you, this is just the tip of Sudarshana Vaibhavam. There is more in Agama Shastram as to what chakram we have to position two triangles. One triangle, the inverted triangle, and we have to keep. Why that triangle? Because we are also a civilization of geometry. In Tantra Shastram we use geometry. So why that geometry? When if you get into Ramayanam, you will observe the details. We just read translation, we won't get into the essence. When the Putrakameshti Yagam happens after Ashwamedham, it is very clearly mentioned how many bricks were used, in what shape they were, why
why this yagam of Ashwamedham? Because Dasharatha, the commentator says, he belonged to Shukla Yajurvedam. In the south of India, many of us will belong to Krishna Yajurvedam. In the north and in the west, they will belong to Shukla Yajurvedam. That is why there is a Brahmanam called Shatapatha Brahmanam in Shukla Yajurvedam. And Rishyashringa, who went from Kigga of Karnataka to West Bengal and then to Uttar Pradesh, was a Atharvana Veda follower. Only they can perform Putrakameshti Yagam. So every detail of Yagam has been mentioned in Ramayanam. So geometry, details of what they used, what they did not use. During the Ashwamedham, the queen has to recline next to a dead horse. And then you have to use 3 lines of a golden needle that you have to draw. Of course, there will be pertinent questions of Mrigavadhe and so on. But in that Ashwamedham, there was a Kriya. Valmiki was not of the opinion of hiding facts from us, however good or bad they were. So what needles were used, how many lines were drawn, all this has been clearly mentioned. That is why we see Valmiki and Vyasacharya as very true compilers of biography. They are all good journalists. Today, good and journalism may not go together. Right? It may seem like an oxymoron, but in those days they were very, very truthful. Whatever it is, we have to report as is. They never wanted to hide, cut, take away anything. They wanted to present Rama's life and Krishna's life as is. They were not bothered about what opinions we will form of Rama and Krishna. That is not there. They, as biographers, you have to report what is there happening in their life. So this geometry is very important. So Sudarshana Vaibhavam, I can speak even for 5 days. How for every part of Sudarshana, how our acharyas have described and which part of Sudarshana was deployed in each of the avatarams. All these details are there. So be it Matsya Avataram, Kurma Avataram. Now, let me conclude. In Matsya Avataram, what was the Ayudham? Fish. What is the Ayudham? Huh? Very good. The horn of the fish, that was a fish with a horn. Sir, do fishes have horns? Yes. Longhorn cowfish is a genus, species in fish. It is called Lomura, if I am right. Just check. It's a longhorn cowfish that will have horns. That is why in Sahasranamam we have one nama Shringi, for which Adi Shankara in his Bhashyam says why he is called Shringi. When he came as Matsya, he had a Shringam which was so beautiful, and within that Shringam was Chakram. In Varahavataram, in the tusks. In Nrisimhavataram, nails. In Vamanavataram, Darbhagras. In Parashurama Parashu. In Ramavataram, arrow. In Tripura Samharam, tip of the arrow. In Krishna Avataram, he had Chakram. So this is the importance of Chakrayudham. Generally, why I took up this topic, of course, Suresh D told me when I took Sudarshana, is there much content to talk about in the Sudarshana? Because generally we are used to giving lectures on Rama and Krishna. But my humble opinion is we have to know the lesser known facts of Sanatana Dharma. Just brushing Krishna danced, he played the flute, he danced with the Gopikas 3. That is one Anubhavam. But we have to understand Sudarshana well, we have to understand Adishesha very well, we have to understand Garuda very well, we have to understand Vishwaksena very well. All lesser known characters of our Mahabharatam and Ramayanam. Trijata, have you heard? Who is Trijata? Vibhishana's daughter. Vibhishana's daughter. Any other Trijata? Where? In Ayodhya Kandam, there is another Trijata. There is a Brahmana who lived in Ayodhya called Trijata, to whom Rama gives all his cows as dhanam and then leaves to the forest. There is a rule that you cannot leave your assets unattended to. So he gives those cows as dhanam to a man called Trijata. And Sita's friend in Lanka was Trijata. This Trijata, that is Trijata. So you will have so many such characters. So lesser known characters is a beautiful topic. Then only we will understand the nuance. Rama, Krishna, Sita and Rukmini we all know. But we should know those characters also, right? It is very, very important in Sanatana Dharma. We generally think Kaikeyi has been a bad-natured woman, which is true. Atmakama, Sadachandi, Krodhana, Pragyamanmi, self-centered, prestige-conscious, short-tempered woman is my mother, Bharata says. Even before the Sambhavam happened, he tells to his brother Shatrughna in Kekeya Desham. This Jalalabad, if you go to the map and search Jalalabad, you will find a place in Afghanistan. That was the Girivraja, Rajagriha, where Kekeyi's father was ruling. Sindhu Sauvira Raja, above that was Kekeya Pradesham, and that was the place where he ruled. That time he tells his brother, I had a very bad dream, Shatrughna. Shatrughna says, why do you have to worry with dreams? No, I fear that something must have happened to our father or brother. Why do you worry about our father or brother? No, I'm not worried exactly about them. I'm worried about my mother. Why you worry about your mother? Because she's Atmakama, Sadachandi, Krodhana, Pragyamanini. She's a self-centered, prestige-conscious, short-tempered woman. She will cause some problem there. I'm worried, he says. Why? Because for which Sumantra gives an answer. Kaikeyi, why have you not taken after your father? You have taken after your mother. In Ramayanam, Kaikeyi's mother is not a woman of great repute. There are great women of great repute in Ramayana, but it is not Kaikeyi's mother. Kaikeyi's father is very important because he was called Ashwapati. Ashwapati features in our Upanishads. In Vaishwanara Adhikaranam, Ashwapati comes. Kaikeyi's father was very good. So thank God his grandson was like him. Bharata was like his grandfather, Ashwapati. So beautiful lessons you can draw from Ramayana. But for that we have to read Ramayana. That is a big problem. We read abridged version, we will never understand the nuance. So that is the greatness of Ramayana. Nevertheless, you have all listened. So I will conclude with Sudarshana Ashtakam once again. And Sudarshana Ashtakam, it is a very, very easy grantham. So if you take, I'm sure, how many of you know Sudarshana Ashtakam? I won't ask any questions. Now raise your hands. Okay. Remaining, please, my request, let this lecture that Sai Grace Foundation has organized be an inspiration to learn Sudarshana Ashtakam. It is very simple. Ashtakam means 8. But 8, now you will check, there will be 9. Oh, sir, yen sir, ನೀವು ಲೆಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ? That last shlokam is called Phalashruti. So it will always be 8 plus 1. Panchashat means it will be 50 plus 1. Is there any Panchashat with 50 plus 2? Garuda Panchashat will have 50 plus 2 because there was one shloka dedicated to Garuda's mother. Saikam Panchashatamyam Atanuta Binata Nandanam Nandayishyan. So there is an extra shloka. Now, I will recite Sudarshana Ashtakam. I am sure all of you who have come from Sai Grace Foundation, Yadalam Swami's family members, friends, well-wishers and other astikas who have gathered here, please make sure next time, before we meet next time, you should all be well-versed with Sudarshana Ashtakam. Learn it by heart. See, don't depend on sheets like me. By heart. Pratibhata Shreni Bhishana Varaguna Stoma Bhushana Jani Bhayasthana Taran Jagadavasthana Karan Nikhila Dushkarma Karshana Nigama Saddharma Darshan Jaya Jaya Sri Sudarshana Jaya Jaya Sri Sudarshana. We make it a bit interesting. I'll keep reciting. Whenever the Jaya Jaya Sri Sudarshana comes, you have all to recite at the same pace. Okay, then the talam will go on a bit. Okay, now, we South Indians, whether we speak Tamil or Kannada or Telugu, we have this general habit of unnecessarily using that "a" at the end. Sudarshana. It is Sudarshana. Na. It is not Strilinga Vachaka Shabdam. Sudarshana. So that na alone should come, a should not come. Pratibhata Shreni Bhishana Varaguna Stoma Bhushana Jani Bhayasthana Tarana Jagadavasthana Karan Nikhila Dushkarma Karshana Nigama Saddharma Darshan Jaya Jaya Sri Sudarshan Jaya Jaya Sri Sudarshan Shubha Jagadrupa Mandana Suragana Trasa Khandan Shatamakha Brahma Vandita Shatapatha Brahma Nandita Pratita Vidvatsa Pakshita Vajata Hit Budnya Lakshita Jaya Jaya Sri Sudarshana Jaya Jaya Sri Sudarshan Sputata Tichara पिंजर पृथुतर ज्वाल पंजर परिगत प्रज्ञ विग्रह पटुतर प्रज्ञ दुर्ग्रह प्रहरण ग्राम मंडित परिजन प्राण पंडित जय जय श्री सुदर्शन जय जय श्री सुदर्शन निज पद प्रीत सद्गण निरुपधि स्वीत षड्गुण निगम निर्व्यूढ़ वैभव निज पर व्यूह वैभव हरिहय द्वेषिदारण हरपुर दोष कारण जय जय श्री सुदर्शन जय जय श्री सुदर्शन धनुज विस्तार कर्तन जनित मिस्त्रा विकर्तन धनुज विद्यानि कर्तन भजद विद्यानि वर्तन अमर दृष्ट स्व विक्रम समर जुष्ट भ्रमिक्रम प्रतिमुखा लीड बंधुर पृथु महा हेति दंतुर विकट माया बहिष्कृत विविध माला परिष्कृत स्थिर महा यंत्र तंत्रित दृढ़दय तंत्र यंत्रित महित संपत् सदक्षर विहित संपत् षडक्षर षडर चक्र प्रतिष्ठित सकल तत्व प्रतिष्ठित विविध संकल्प कल्पक विबुध संकल्प कल्पक नेत्रस्त्रयीमय सवन तेजस्त्रयीमय निरवधि स्वादु चिन्मय निखिल शक्ति जगन्मय अमित विश्वक्रियामय शमित विश्वभयामय द्विचतुष्कमिदं प्रभूतसारं पठतां वेंकटनायक प्रणीतं विषमेपि मनोरथः प्रधावन् न विहन्येत रथांग दुर्यगुप्तः says Vedanta Deshika. Whoever recites this tomorrow, if the border, if there is some fight, we can all go and fight. We'll get that much of energy. See, it is all energy booster, right? So I'm sure the last time when I gave lectures under the banner of the very revered Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, it was a Saturday evening and a Sunday morning. But this time it was a Friday evening. So, of course, they had some doubts. The organizers, they were a bit worried whether people will come or not. Here, the Astikas of Bangalore, they don't mind whether it is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, weekday. So, you have all gathered to listen to the greatness of Sudarshana, and this is all possible because of Sai Grace Foundation. Sir, he is here. He and the entire team have organized. Thanks to him, the foundation, to Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, of course, Suresh ji, Raghavan ji, and all the members of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan have always been such a grace and such a resource for such cultural activities. My obeisances and reverence to such members and for their bhakti. And to all the Astikas of Bangalore, you have gathered. I'm sure very soon the main hall will be inaugurated. We can have it there by God's grace somewhere so that all of you don't have to be seated on the floor. But traditionally in such lectures we are seated on the floor. That's how it is. But I'm sure there'll be elderly people who will require the chair. So suppose we have a bigger hall, we can surely accommodate more Astikas to come. Namaskaram. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. To this particular